Hello, people. Welcome on a Friday night. I know normally we're not here on a Friday night, but I'm going to try something different tonight, and I thought maybe it would help everybody who's trying to pick and choose what movie they might go see this weekend. And it's something new, so bear with me, and we're just getting to it. It's just a mini review. So we saw this last night. Um, Equalizer 3 is opening this weekend, being called the final chapter in this and Denzel Washington action trilogy. The interesting thing about that, first off, remind me never to piss off Denzel Washington because wow, is he scary in this movie. But what I want to say is like this is the face of a movie star, and one of the great things about this particular movie star, this Denzel Washington movie star, is that he is an actor that can do it all. He can do Fences, he can do Glory, he can do movies where Training Day. He can win Academy Awards. But with this Equalizer franchise, him and Antoine Fuqua they have a shorthand. They have they've developed this character Robert McCall, which was based on an old CBS show. That was a very good show. It was a novelty of the week show where the original Equalizer would go and he would help people who are a little downtrodden, and he was former special forces, he was actually a British operative in the original, and basically they've developed this franchise as an action franchise for Denzel Washington. And the great thing about it is, the most interesting thing about it is, it is a definite action franchise that people really enjoy, and it doesn't have any of the grand Guggenol kind of like stuff going on in the John Wick universe, where the John Wick movies have gotten increasingly longer. They've also gotten increasingly more in depth of the high table and all that stuff going on. What's interesting about the Equalizer films and what's interesting about this Denzel franchise, aside from that face, is one, he is a movie star, and the thing is, when you're watching this movie, and maybe it's just me, but there are so very few movie stars left. Guys that you can watch read a phone book. And Denzel Washington is one of those guys. And so when you're watching this movie, so first off, if you like the first two, you're definitely going to like this one. This one, I would argue, is also a little darker in the sense that it's way more inventively violent than the other two. But basically, it starts off. And also the odd thing about it is it's very pretty to look at. It's an amazingly pretty film to look at. It takes place in Sicily and Italy. It begins at a winery at the beginning of the movie. And Robert McCall is in a winery, and all shit breaks loose, all hell breaks loose, and basically the story starts. And eventually he ends up in the little town of Altamont in Sicily, where he is befriended by the people in the town, and also by a doctor played by the amazing. I want to make sure I get the name right, because there's a lot of Italian leads in this movie. So I want to make sure I get the name right. Remo Gironi plays Dr. Enzo, and it's just like this incredible, like an older doctor taking care of Denzel, who develops. I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything. But basically, he befriends him, and Denzel he takes a liking to the town. But the town is beset by really bad guys. The Camorra, which is like an offshoot of the mafia in Sicily, and they are hell-bent on this town, not only paying them protection money, but also enforcing the people out of towns and whatever. They're vicious in this movie. They're absolutely vicious bad guys. That is one criticism of the film, is that there's nothing very layered about the bad guys. But in a movie like this, which is like a throwback to like 50s, 60s Westerns, where Denzel is clearly the guy in the black hat, the white hat, who's, coming in and helping these people out. It's nice. The scenery is beautiful. There's a bit role for Dakota Fanning, who is a good young actress, and her scenes with Denzel really crisp. They crackle. They're a lot of fun. The action sequence is well shot. Antoine Fuqua and him, they have it down. And while I don't put it on the same pedestal as like a John Wick, or put it on the same pedestal as some of the other action franchises like Mission Impossible, or the recent Daniel Craig Bonds, there is a place for the equalizers in the world. It's a fun action movie. We saw it last night. The crowd was pumped. Every time Denzel delivered a great line to a bad guy, you knew he was going to beat the everling crap out of. The audience was jumping and hooting and hollering and just like, oh, I wouldn't have said that to him. It was very, very good. Now, is it going to, procure rocket science to Mars? Is it going to cure cancer? No. But for a movie at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, right before football season starts, if you want to go with your dad on Sunday afternoon after church, or if you want to go with your dad and after lunch on Saturday, whatever, this is a perfect time at the movies for watching a superstar. This superstar. Look at this face. He's so good in the movie, and it doesn't require a lot of moving parts for him. But like I said, the movie is really pretty. It has like this nice little town in Sicily. It's like a seaside town with a cliff, and there's a beautiful church. And the people of Italy are really, everything's really nice. And it becomes a place where Robert McCall, the character, enjoys staying while he's recuperating with this doctor taking care of him. It becomes friends with the people in town. And once these bad guys show up, you just you can't, the bad things are going to happen to him. There is a very distinct edginess to the violence in it. So if you're a little bit squeamish, it's definitely super ultra violent, more violent than the other two. He's, we were talking about it last night. The people I saw the movie with, he has a very distinct Michael Myers for the mafia vibe going on in this. And of course, there's a bigger, they pace things along. There's a nice point at the end of the movie where they kind of tie everything up and you figure out exactly why everything's happened, but also the idea that, where we're getting, it takes place in the real world where there's, rampant drug abuse and just people and places moving things that maybe the United States government isn't focusing on. And then this movie kind of maybe they heard a story or whatever, but that's how they came up with the script. I am live, so I can take some comments. Ken McKernan, good evening, friends. Good evening, Ken. This is right up your alley, this movie. You'd love it. Mary Zombie says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mary. Trying something a little different. And so thank you for joining me. And then I wish I wasn't on the phone arguing with Affinity now so I could watch this live. Joe. Well, Joe, you'll get it. I'm so sorry you're arguing with Xfinity. That sounds like an awful use of your time on a Friday night, but this movie's right up your wheelhouse too. It's not a great movie by any means, but it's a really well done B movie with an A-list star that you can't take your eyes off of. And so it's one of those things where I really enjoy it. Let's see. Ken writes, I am action, horror, blood, and guts person. I rarely watch Oscar contenders as they're not in my wheelhouse. Yes, but the interesting thing about it, a star like Denzel, Ken, is that a star of this magnitude, and again, we're at the point now where we're kind of we're losing our stars, right? And we're there might be a next generation. We don't know where they're going to come from, how they're going to get here. But Denzel is a star that can sell a B action movie and make it an A action movie because he's such an amazing actor. Like I said, there is a simplicity to this movie that is not apparent in other action genres right now. It's not complex. Bad people get punished for doing bad things. Good people get saved by somebody that they don't fully understand or realize quite how dangerous he is. And I enjoyed it. We came out of it going, maybe they tell stories in the little mafia families about the Robert McCall character, like he's some sort of boogeyman. Like I said, it's not, the action is well shot. It's, it's visceral. There is something very cool. Every time Denzel gets he doesn't talk loudly in this movie. It's very much a quiet kind of He's almost whispering at times, and it's great. I enjoyed it immensely. At the end of the summer, with no movies open for a couple weeks that are going to make big box office, this movie is going to do well enough this weekend. And if it's something just to get you out of the house, go to the movies, see it with a crowd. It's a fun little action movie. People are giggling. People are like, they're watching in awe of a fully fledged movie star, somebody who can open movies. He can open the Magnificent Seven remake, and he can also do Fences. You know what I mean? Like, he is, a unicorn that we are running out of. And so when I say, if you like the first one, by all means, go see Equalizer 3. It's not a bad, it's not a bad use of your time and or money. It's a pretty good action flick. And actually, this franchise, is going to go down as one of the underrated action franchises. Equalizer 1, Equalizer 2, Equalizer 3, they're solidly made by really good people. And like I said, Fuqua and Denzel Washington at this point have a shorthand. And if the poster says that it's the end of the franchise, witness the end of this franchise. If it is the end of this franchise, witness the final chapter. I don't know that it is. I mean, it might be. It could be. It doesn't end with a question. It ends with everything wrapped in a nice, tight little bow. But I was talking about, I just got done. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is on video this week. Video on demand as of yesterday, so you can watch it at home. I feel Denzel could do this role for another 10 years. It's kind of like a bumped up Liam Neeson. Like, Liam Neeson's a good actor and a decent star. But when you get these action movies, these revenge, movies, Denzel is like a head and shoulders above most of those action films. And whereas I think Liam has lost a step, Denzel has not lost a step, does not look like he's lost a step. And the scenes he has with the Italian actors who populate the film are very well done. I mean, he has a sequence with Eugenio Mastriandrea as Gino Bonucci, who's like the cop in the small town. He has several scenes with Gaia Scodolero, who plays Amina. She owns like a little coffee house. And it's a real fun little movie. And like I said, the scenes with him and Dakota Fanning crackle. Her subplot doesn't go nearly as well as it could have gone, but by the same token, he's the focus of the movie. So if you're thinking about going to the movies this weekend, you could do a lot worse than going to see The Equalizer 3. Other movies that are playing still from the summer that are really good. Kids, if you have kids, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. First, it's on video on demand as of today, so you can watch it at home. Fantastic. Great voice acting, amazing animation, similar in concept to the animation from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's really good. You got Blue Beetle still playing, which is an underrated DC movie. There's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of stuff that's competing. I did also see Barbie, and we'll be talking about this on my other show, Loud Nerdy, on Tuesday night. But I wanted to at least get out here and try this and maybe do a thing where we start doing movie reviews on a Friday afternoon where I just pop in for a couple minutes, let you know what's hot out there, what you should see and what you maybe shouldn't see. But if you're thinking about going to see The Equalizer, why are you listening to me? Go. You want to see it. You've already seen the originals. Have a great weekend, everybody. I just wanted to pop in. I'm going to finish up with the comments. Ken clarifies, I will clarify, I don't watch the heavy dramatic movie. Fair. That's fair. I like the Expendables franchise, just pure action. We got another Expendables coming at the end of the month. Let's see. I don't like the new TV series Equalizer. I can't get into it. Yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the original Equalizer and you're watching Denzel's Equalizer, I understand what you're saying, but it is a big hit for CBS. The Queen Latifah Equalizer is doing very well for CBS. My wife and my aunt love it, so I'm not gonna do it of. And then this is also, I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter last night. I enjoyed it. I will give a brief review of that really quick I wasn't planning on it, but now that you bring it up, it is available on demand. It's still in theaters. If you could see it in theaters and you like horror films, you should. I have a few minor quibbles with it. I think they could have done. I think there's a great disservice in doing the Dracula legend as the giant man bat. Just a personal preference, but the movie's scary and it's fun and it's well designed and it's got great effects. The design of the vampire is super cool. I just don't agree with it. Part of my premise about like feral vampires and vampires that need to like the 30 Days a Night vampires and the vampire in the Last Voyage of the Demeter, the Dracula we get there. I think it would have been better for the movie to have like an old guy get on board the ship, and eventually he gradually turns into the bat. You know, as opposed to all these big boxes and something crawling around in the basement and then eventually flying around. So that's just personal preference. But I did like it, although they missed a couple things that could have made it. They could have made it jaw-droppingly good just by a couple of slight plot points. Equalizer 3 though, bang for your buck. You get Denzel. He's a star. He knows he's a star, and it's a lot of fun. Yes, he was more like the Nosferatu vampire, sure, but I'm more like. But even that Nosferatu vampire, Nosferatu, he wears in the Murnau version, he's wearing a suit and stuff, so he's at least the concept of a man. And then in the end, you know, he like. I don't know. There are a few minor things I would have done with Last Voyage of the Demeter that I think they could have made it really good, but it's good and it's well done and it's a boat movie and it's, you know, the set is nice and the actors are really good. So it's well worth your time as well. Thank you for joining me. I've gone 18 minutes. I didn't want to go that long. I hope to do more of these in the future. If you end up watching it later, drop me a line. Let me know what you think of it. We're on the Indie Escape Network. Like and subscribe for a Generation Movie because that's what this is going out on. And that's what it's going to start going out on every Thursday or Friday when I go see a new movie in theaters. And then I let you know what's happening. If you guys want me to. I don't know if everybody wants me to do it, but I think this is a good use of both the wonderful Indie Escape Network and also my time in saving time for you and figuring out what's good and what's not. Ken McKernan writes, "Do it." Thanks, Ken. I appreciate you. You're always championing us and everything. But thank you for joining me tonight. We're about 20 minutes in. Appreciate it. Everybody have a great Labor Day weekend. Be safe and see you at the movies.